live, and then when do you put the thing out, like edited? Whenever.
There's a queue, but it's coming up here pretty quick. I'll find out exactly what's going on. Hey, back again, folks, letting you watch a taping live. Now, I can see your questions. I might throw one into the taping if you have a good one. If you're just over there talking smack, and we probably wouldn't even notice it. But sit back, relax, because I got another freaking badass here in the studio that's going to drop some bombs here in a minute. And I think you're going to like this guy. Bear with us. Ready?
Listen up or run for cover. From the people who haven't to the people who need it, the real Brad Lea is dropping.
What it is, Brad Lea back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs today in the studio, folks. I got a real treat for you, especially if you like freaking controversy. I wouldn't say controversy, but polarization. You worked for Alex Jones for about 10 years. You're a freaking artist for sure, an American artist. You guys might know who he is. Anthony Freda in the house. What's happening?
What's up, Brad?
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Folks, today we're going to talk about, a lot of things, but mainly we're going to talk to Anthony Freda, who is a freaking American artist, illustrator, educator, and activist, renowned for being politically charged through your thought-provoking artwork, which, by the way, guys, if you guys want to see some badass art, go to Anthony Freda, Freda, art on Instagram.
Yep.
And look at his wall. Like, dude, that's a badass collection.
Thanks, man.
Dude, as I'm scrolling through it, I don't know if we can put it up behind me or throw it on the screen, but I'll have it edited in. And I don't usually edit. I'm seeing it. It's not behind me, but there it is. Like, there's a dude. I'm telling you, this is badass looking stuff, and very, now I see, political.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this, the rise of the new normal Reich, where your book cover, which was commissioned, or you were hired to do, commissioned to do, has literally landed somebody, or about to land somebody, in prison. They're trying to put his ass in prison for a book cover.
Yeah.
That you made.
Yeah.
And he hired you to just make a book cover for his new book. And now his ass is in prison.
Charge. Yeah. You want to hear the story?
Yeah, of course I do.
All right. Well, C.J. Hopkins is a brilliant satirist, writer. He wrote this book about collection of essays about COVID and all the madness and insanity of COVID and the draconian policies and the lockdowns and the masks and the lies.
Worldwide,
yeah.
Dude.
So he lives in Germany, in Berlin.
Yeah, but don't you think that's crucial? This was worldwide, not just in Germany.
No, absolutely. So it applies to the whole world, because it was kind of a top-down policy that was followed globally. Like, it was just like everybody was in the same program, which is weird, no matter what country you were in. So he points out a lot of this stuff. He does it with humor and satire and irony, and he's a funny guy. He writes about this stuff because it is absurd when you start to. Anybody who lived through 2020 knows it was like, you felt like you were in a nut house. Like, what the hell's going on? Like, remember walking to the restaurant? Like, you could walk. You have to walk in with the mask, but if you sat down, it's okay. Like, the germs don't know that you're sitting down. I mean, the whole thing made no sense. So he points all this stuff out, and on the book cover, he used the symbol very subtly through the mask. You can see I put a little swastika, but I tried to make it subtle enough that the censor bots couldn't see it, I thought. Anyway, he tweeted, we're making a political commentary about all those COVID laws where people's lives were ruined, their businesses were taken away, they couldn't see their parents die, they were treated like criminals,
6 feet apart,
and 6 feet apart. And
that's another thing that was stupid. Like, you had to stay 6 feet apart until you got on the airplane. Then you can sit right next to somebody. It's like, come on.
So he wrote a whole book about this madness, pointing it out in a very funny way. And I did the cover. All he did was post that cover, tweet that cover. And he got indicted by the prosecutor in Berlin. and charged with disseminating Nazi propaganda. There's nothing Nazi propaganda in this book, nothing to do with Nazis. The guy's not a Nazi. I know him. So I was basically a co-conspirator in this by default. And he's charged with a hate crime.
Who's charging him?
The prosecutor in Berlin.
So the Germans.
The Germans.
And
Germans.
Is this guy a German?
He's an American. He's from.
So how can a German court prosecute?
Well, he has
an American?
dual citizenship.
So he's also German.
Yeah, he's both.
So Germany's pissed that he used that sign.
Yeah, but
which a lot of people, you know, obviously, when I look at that sign, I think of Hitler.
Yeah,
what Hitler did. So that's shocking. But he doesn't have the right to just use a symbol in Germany.
Well, this is where it gets, you know, interesting and hypocritical, because if you put that swastika, many magazines in Germany will show Donald Trump in Nazi regalia with a swastika on his arm. That's fine. They don't get prosecuted.
But it's parody.
Exactly. It's parody. It's satire. It's supposed to be. They have laws where you can use it for satire. So he didn't even really technically break the law, but it was about a political persecution because they didn't like his ideas. They didn't like him.
Well, yeah, because look what it says: the rise of the new, normal Reich.
Yeah.
Again, German Reichs.
Yeah. So they want to put his ass in prison. But he went through the first trial, and because he technically and legally didn't commit any crimes,
I'd move my ass out of Germany.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. But they found the judge found him innocent. But in Germany, unlike here, they'll keep trying you until they get the verdict they want. Like, you know, we have double jeopardy. You can't be charged for the same crime. In Germany, they don't have that. They can keep charging with the same crime over and over again until they get the outcome they want. So he has to go back to trial again. And they're going to keep trying him until they put his ass in prison. And it's just criminal. And it shows the power of an image. It shows what I do. It shows that, you know, you can piss a lot of people off. I know this with just a picture. And I like this idea that we've all heard, pictures worth 1,000 words, right? And it's like,
this is keep going.
No, I mean, there's power in the image, and that's what I do. I want to translate a lot. I work with a lot of writers and activists and politicians, and I try to translate what they're saying into a concise image, into art. Yeah.
And by the way, folks, everybody watching, everybody listening, I don't care if it's 3 years from now and you're listening, go check out his art. You go to @Anthony Freda, Freda art, Anthony Freda art, and just start scrolling and enjoy. Because dude, like, it's like a gallery.
There's a lot of bombs in there.
I mean, you're very prolific.
I'm prolific, yes. Well, I've been doing it for 40 years.
But I mean, are you just popping out like 3 in a day, or how long does it take you to make some of these?
Man, I'm just so this is a way I use my art as a way for me to understand what's going on and also to process it, like catharsis. Like, I need to do this stuff, man. It's like the way I just make sense of the world and I deal with the shit, you know, because we get a lot of shit thrown at us constantly.
Where does Big Pharma reside right now?
A lot of what I do is aimed at those bastards.
No. The piece dubbed Big Pharma.
Yeah, I own that original painting.
Where is it?
It's in New York.
Dude.
Under armed guard.
That one right there. Why wouldn't you consider selling it?
I would. Price for the right price. And everything's for sale.
Well, what price would you want for it? Like, in other words, don't even step to me unless it's how much?
20 grand.
So 20 G's and someone can buy it?
It's an original painting, acrylic painting on wood.
Is there a bunch of prints on it?
I can make prints of all my work, yeah, but that's an original piece of art.
That's original.
Yes.
There's none like
yours for a low price.
But there's none like it.
No, there's only one that exists in the world.
Yeah, because like, why 20 grand though?
I think I've sold pieces for around that price.
How big is it?
Approximately 24 inches by 17. I'm not quite sure.
Oh shit! It's a little
giant
one.
Yeah, it's not big.
If that was I know, but if that was the kind I like, the big ass ones.
Well, you can commission a work.
I'd give you 20 G's.
You can commission a work.
That I know, but you can't make that one again.
Oh, I can make something.
Dude, that some bitch is. Hey, and by the way, if you can throw up an image of that, do you guys have an image of Big Pharma? Nope, that's not Big Pharma. That's a killer video I'm going to show him. Nope, you don't have Big Pharma. I think, did I take a snapshot of that? Or you were showing me your phone?
Yeah.
Dude, make sure you send my team Big Pharma so they can edit that in.
Yeah, I think.
And guys, the reason I'm calling it Big Pharma is because when I saw the piece, I sat there and stared at it for like 5 minutes and just, what did it say to me? And it says Big Pharma in the coolest way you've ever seen.
Yeah, Brad named that one.
Yeah, and I asked him what was the name of it, and he didn't have necessarily a name for it. And I said, dude, call it Big Pharma. That's exactly what it is. And he said, fine, it's Big Pharma. So I literally named this.
You named it, man.
That makes it a collab, and now it's half mine, fool. Just joking. But seriously, man, it's badass, dude. That's badass. And if that were a big piece, because I can't do nothing with a little 2-foot
it ain't
painting.
that little.
Huh?
It's not that little.
2 feet's only like
No,
this.
no. It's like 18. It's like this by this. It's it's
I know, but
vertical.
Like, why didn't you make that bitch huge?
I don't know, man.
Have you ever done the big canvases?
Yeah, I've done big stuff.
You don't like it?
I prefer to work a little more manageable size, but
you
maybe
don't
I'll start working big,
But dude, don't you feel like all the real art collectors want big wall pieces too?
I think it's about quality more than
you. I would imagine if you did it that size, you could.
But scale is impressed. People aren't impressed by scale, and I should start working in a bigger scale. You're right.
Well, again, if I'm known as the influencer of influencers, so like if I can influence you, if I had your skill set, I'd freaking like take that over to where the light is and go down. How big is that? Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, that'd be bitching. If that thing was that's why when you're saying 20 grand, I'm like 20 G's, dude, like, damn. But that's why, because it's smaller, easier to accomplish. Does the scale screw up detail? And
no, it just takes more time,
Just time.
Yeah, it's just time.
It's just the line's longer.
Yeah, that's it. Line's longer, man.
But anyway, if you guys haven't seen it, go see it. Is Big Pharma on your web your wall?
It's on my wall, man.
It's on
all
there,
baby.
Go check it out. You guys will know the one I'm talking about. Big old pill with a skull in it.
Like
it's got some freaking dragons. It's got all those images, dude. When I was running through the 800-pound gorilla, is that why that gorilla is kind of shadowy in there?
Yep, exactly.
What about the Chinese dragons?
Well, that's about, talking about geopolitical influence of China. And there's a lot of that, like I said, the image has so much power. And each one of those images, I want the viewer to bring, I don't like to explain things too much because I want my pieces to be like a conversation. Like when you saw it and you said Big Pharma, it's like that back and forth.
Dude, I'll go name all of them. And when people hit your page, you're going to get a ton of followers because it ain't just me thinking that they're badass. Like everyone that goes and looks is going to go, damn, these are badass. Some of them are just ridiculous badass.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
And there's so many of them. It's almost like you could scroll for 5 minutes straight and just look at all kinds of different kick-ass looking Andy Warhol-ish mixed with like, I mean, it's freaking great, dude.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, how do you envision these crazy visions, or do you start with something that's already cool and make it cooler?
I start with usually something that pisses me off, Brad. Like, there's a lot of things in the news that kind of piss you off. And I like I said, I use my art as a way to I try to use humor, maybe dark humor, to kind of poke fun at what's going on, to make it like more palatable for me. And the art itself is just a way for me to process this stuff and not just like I get in an argument with my friend about it. It's like, it's a creative outlet for me. So every act of creation is like an act of hope. So it's a hopeful act, creating art. It's really like, every piece of art is like a microcosm of the original act of creation. And it's like, there's something hopeful in that. The greatest, most hopeful act was God creating the universe, right? And we as humans when we create something, we're doing that in our own little way.
Now, a lot of people haven't realized that you've been suppressed a lot because of your art. Your art's very thought-provoking, meaning polarizing.
Yeah, well,
like a swastika on a mask.
Yeah, well, they're trying to put somebody in prison for one of my paintings. So I would say you're right. That it's very polarizing and it pisses a lot of people off because I like to. I think with art, you always have to punch up. Like go after people that are powerful and
you're making a statement in that artwork.
They're
That's
corrupt.
For sure.
They're powerful. Like they deserve the ire that I point to them with my paintbrush. And I never go after innocent people. I never go after regular people. We're all just trying to get by, but we're victims of these powerful forces. And I try to, give them a finger with my art, and they don't like it.
Well, yeah, and then they don't like it.
Like the Zuckerberg piece, that kind of thing.
But dude, you're doing a good job of it, because when I look at your art, I can kind of see what it is you were saying, but just in a badass way and visual.
Yeah.
But I want to get to your background too. What's your accent? Is that New York or what is it?
New York. Born and raised in New York.
You grew up in New York?
Grew up in New York, yeah.
And then were you always artistic, or did you have to learn it?
No, I was one of those kids, like that was the one thing I was good at. So I wasn't good at much, but I was good at that. And it was like, I think like at an early age, I realized my father tells a famous, story about a family story where I gave him this drawing and he looked at it and it was like, I was all proud of my drawing and I gave it to him and he looked at it and it just looked like scribbles. So he was like trying to be a proud father, but he was like, yeah, that's great. Nice job, Anthony. And he said, what is it? And I said, well, I was looking at the stat. I'm old. So we had an old, black and white TV and there was static on it and nothing was coming on. So while I was watching the static, I started drawing it, like very carefully drawing the static on the TV. And I did it. That was my first drawing.
What'd you call it?
Static. But
did you call it that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have called it white noise.
That's even better. See, that's why I need you to name my pieces. But basically what I'm still doing today is drawing the static I see on the TV. So it's like, well, I continue to do that my whole life.
That's right. Hey, let's get into some of the things. Like, you worked for Alex Jones. So obviously you got access and heard all kinds of crap, like before anyone heard it.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for about 25 years with my art. And a lot of the things that are coming to the fore now, that are coming out with Doge and all this corruption, Epstein's Island, things that you would say 20 years ago, people would say, you're crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, Bill Gates is going, screwing little girls on some island. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, now we know it's not so ridiculous, So, I was attracted to people that were exposing corruption, exposing government lies, exposing the lies that take us to war.
How do you know that they were telling the truth, though?
Because they had the documentation to prove it up. They weren't he didn't make up that stuff about Epstein's Island. We know now it's true.
Who didn't?
Alex, he was one of the first guys to talk about that.
Oh, he did?
20 years ago, he was talking about it. This stuff's been going on.
He was talking about Epstein's Island 20 years ago?
20 years ago. He's one of the first
guys. Why doesn't he come out
it.
with clips doing it? Or do they suppress those because they don't want everybody to realize, damn, Alex Jones wasn't crazy.
Yeah,
he was freaking telling the truth.
It's not good to be too far ahead of your time.
But I didn't know about Epstein's Island until it broke like a couple years ago, or whenever they started getting busted for it. I've never even heard of Epstein.
Yeah. So that's just one example of many where he was just, sometimes it's like, if you're too far ahead of the curve, it's not good because you just look like a crazy person.
Yeah.
Nothing's, it hasn't.
Were you there at the time?
Yeah. Okay. I've been there a long time. Like, I was there when Bush was president when I was there. So it was like when I started, and it was about, the start of the Iraq war. So I was like very much against the war. So, and he was very much like anti-Bush, anti-Cheney, anti-Iraq war. So I like that he was anti-war. I like that he was pro-human liberty, anti-censorship, anti-surveillance,
Shouldn't we all be, though?
It makes sense to me, man.
I mean, why would anyone want to be censored?
Because I think it's saving them from terrorists or plague or whatever, like COVID, they censored everybody, it's like, because they think the pretext is you're protecting the public good, but it never really is that. Censorship is always to protect the powerful. It's never to protect us.
Yeah.
They lie and they say it's to protect you, keep you healthy, keep you safe from the terrorists, keep you safe from COVID and misinformation. That's bullshit. They're protecting their own crimes. They're covering up their own crimes. That's what censorship is really about.
Just be paying attention when I hear those bombs. But yeah, it's almost scary in a way that, like, because whenever I really start to think about it, I go, can't change nothing. Might as well not think about it. Works for me, but you're like, you get a canvas and go, and whatever's in your head, like I'm just picturing, like it has to be in your head before it can get on that canvas or that screen. So where's that coming from?
Well, that's the mystery of life, right? We don't know where ideas come from. They can't figure it out. They, like, even with AI, they don't know how AI comes up with its ideas. So it's a mystery, but isn't that that's the magic of life, right? That the mysterious quality
And
of
why Anthony
imagination.
Freda gets these visions and not everybody else too.
It's my gift from God. Like I said, I'm not good at a lot of stuff, Brad. I'm good at this one thing, man. That's why I've been doing it for 40 years. I'm too stubborn to quit.
Was your static picture good? And how old were you?
Maybe like 4, but it wasn't such a great drawing, but it showed that I'm thinking like, outside the box. Like I'm drawing something that most people wouldn't draw.
How long did it take you before you started actually being an artist that people can recognize what you're drawing?
Well, when I went to art school, went to Pratt, because like I said, it was the one thing I was good at. And I was kind of cocky because I was like the best kid in my high school. Then you get to Pratt, and like all the kids there were the best kid in their high school. And all of a sudden you look around and you say, oh shit, I suck. Like there was geniuses there. I mean, literal geniuses. I'm not a genius, right? I'm a guy with a little bit of talent. But when I saw these guys, it was demoralizing at first. And I said, you know what? I just got to work harder. I worked harder than all of them. And I rose up, because you can make up what you lack in talent with hard work. I really believe that. And I believe I could teach you how to draw. I could teach anybody how to draw.
You can teach me how to be an artist.
Yeah, man.
See, I'd love to. Again, why? Because I think it's cathartic in ways.
Yes, it is cathartic.
I think if I get a canvas that size, see, like I wouldn't draw nothing small.
Well, you think big. I like that.
Well, I mean, why would I draw something that's even, 5, 5 feet even? I probably do, but like I want big. If it ain't big, like where would it go? Like next in the kitchen?
Not everybody has a big place to put it, but there's room for big and small.
I know, but like, see that little F-bombs right there?
Yeah.
It's in that little strip where there's, on a wall. It's not a big wall. What do you put there? People put pictures. People put, there's art this big too, right?
Yeah, man.
I've seen it, but
it's in museums.
Right. But I don't really like little pieces. Like I like at least the size of that TV, minimum size. What size does you think that is? It's about 3 by 5.
Yeah, something like that.
I wonder what that looks like a 3 by, no, not 5, 3 by
4.
Yeah.
2.5 by 4 feet.
That's only 2.5 feet. That's pretty good size.
Okay.
Do you do that size?
Yeah.
So if I commission you and say, I want a piece that big, price goes way up, obviously.
Yeah, size definitely, because it's more work.
Now, but when I commission you, can I, and you can teach me how to do it to where I just paint my own?
Well, that's going to cost you, but yeah. Because that would take some training, some time.
Yeah.
Time is money.
But that's what you'll do.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'd love to.
So, and I'd never do that. I'd just buy your paint. Because to me, it's not about the technical skill set. It's about the thought.
Yeah.
Because you have to think up the picture.
That's really my strength.
Make it.
Yeah. Conceptual art is really my strength, where, we call it conceptual art in my business, where it's like, this is what I teach at FIT in New York. I'm not like I said, I'm not some technical virtuoso where I can draw or paint like, Picasso or Michelangelo. That's not my thing. But my thing is thinking like a visual communicator. Because I started in advertising, and that's all about communicating an idea visually, and branding and messaging and influencing people to want to buy your stuff, whatever it is. So, and using imagery primarily to do that. So what I did is what I'm doing now is basically using what I learned in advertising for 10 years and selling things like peace and freedom and human liberty and health freedom and
little things
like that. Instead of, well, I could tell you the story if you want, why I got out of advertising.
Yeah. What happened?
Well, I was in advertising. So as a young man, Brad, I lusted after women and money like many young men do. And I was in New York City, and advertising was like, in the 80s was like the place to be. There was just tons of money, tons of opportunity. And I started my own company doing advertising art. And worked for all the Fortune 500 companies, made a ton of dough. Well, I got a real estate story for you, a quick one. I bought with my partner, Doug Miller, we bought the first, with my business partner, just want to be clear. We bought the first luxury condominium in the East Village of New York City. They couldn't even comp it. They had to go to the West Village to comp it because there was no comp. So I bought this in 1994 for like 200,000, and I sold it like 2 years later for like 250,000. And I thought I was like, I'm a real estate genius. You know what's worth today?
2 million,
12 million.
12 million. What if you'd bought 3 of them? No,
God. I got out right before the New York real estate market took off.
Well, from what I hear, though, New York's trash now.
Well, even trash is like millions of dollars, you know.
I know, but still, dude.
Yeah, compared to what it was. Yeah.
New York today,
Yeah.
compared to what it was,
Yeah.
big difference,
Yep.
dude.
Big difference.
And it's all politics that causes it.
Oh yeah.
You know, there were some die-hard New Yorkers
They
that are
screwed that
now
town up.
not die-hard fans of their own town.
It's a train wreck. I mean, I work right by Penn Station. You get out and it's like fentanyl addicts and dangerous schizophrenics and like it's crazy. It doesn't have to be like that.
We almost want to bring back the mafia.
The good old days.
Well, I mean, at least, you know, again, obviously I don't condone any illegal activities and I
No.
wouldn't advise anybody do any, but sometimes, you know, I call it prison justice. You know, sometimes that is what works.
Yeah, I knew John Gotti back in the 80s.
Yeah, because again, like if you were back in New York and the mob told you to tone it down a bit, what do?
Yeah.
If you're smart,
You do what the
you
mob
tone it
told
down
you.
a bit. Okay. It kept people in line because of consequences.
Yeah, Giuliani was like that. Like before he got into office, like they had these squeegee guys who come and like harass you. He got into office. I don't know what he did with the squeegee guys. They all just disappeared the next day. It was
Well,
crazy.
they feared the consequences. And see, that's the thing with getting too soft with the politics.
Yeah.
You know, we have to worry about everybody's feelings. Well, you get chaos and corruption and diversity. I just don't like it. I want like a little bit of stiffer consequence, less rules, stiffer consequence for the few rules that there are. Like, hey, buddy, you're not going to do this. Get it? And we all go, yeah, we all agree that no one should be doing that. And then there's just a few rules, stiff consequences, and play well together. And then that would be wonderful. But when you get all these regulations and all these controls in place and all this greed and corruption and backroom deals and the rich getting richer and then dividing the low and upper class, dividing them with different food and different neighborhoods and all that crap, bro.
Yeah.
Like
too much.
Some
division.
people think that's intentional. And I'm always thinking, well, dude, that would have to be diabolical to sit there and think, okay, in the next 40 years, we're going to get their children from the schools. Yes, we are. Like, bro, you got 40 years to plan. Like, holy shit, we're screwed if someone's out there plotting for 40 freaking straight years.
They play the long game, man.
Dude, who? That means
well,
generations are behind
it. Started with the Fabian Socialists. If you want to get historical, it started with the Fabian Socialists in Great Britain around 1900. And people like H.G. Wells wrote books about it, Brave New World, and they planned the future 100 years in the future. And a lot of it is happening now that they planned. They called it the long march through history.
Yeah, but who does that? Who
have
plans 100 years from now?
Really smart, evil people.
I would argue that they're smart. Why? Well, because first of all, you can't be smart and evil.
Well, yeah, you can. You can.
It depends on how you define
if you're smart
smart
enough to control humanity, you're pretty smart.
But it depends on how you
They're smarter
define.
than we are. They make billions of dollars.
Yeah, but
controlling
Anthony,
humanity.
it depends on how you define smart.
Well, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but
because
they're not dumb.
to me, if I said, is it smart to break the law? Is it? What would your answer be?
No.
It's not smart to break it? I would agree, by the way. No, it's not smart to break the law. It's not smart to break the law. It's not smart to harm people. It's not smart. So they can't be smart by my definition, because just the word smart means the best option almost. Like
Yeah.
it's smart.
Yeah, I get it.
You can't be smart and break the law because it makes you stupid as soon as you broke the law.
Good
Now, if you
point.
were ignorant of the law, which unfortunately that happens too.
Yeah.
And you're innocent, like your buddy, he should not be sitting anywhere. And there shouldn't be a country that allows that. But that's Germany with that history of that symbol. I can understand why it's very, let's call it touchy. But at the end of the day, hey, you know, I'm talking like an American. Do we have freedom of speech or not?
Yeah.
Like, let's quit lying to the people. If we really don't, let's tell them they don't. Say we took that from you.
Yeah.
You no longer have the right to do that. And this is evidence of that.
Yeah.
So guess what? We don't come out and tell you, but our actions show it. Okay, well, listen, if that's the case, hold on a minute. Nobody told me the law changed. You tell me the rules and I'll play the game.
Exactly.
Okay, but don't change the rules without notifying me and then try and put me in jail for it. Nope. But he's in Germany. So again, I can't believe Germany doesn't have, because Germany's a killer country, dude. Like it's clean over there. It's freaking, they're smart. They make killer cars. You know, back in the, I'm not a historian, but like we were stealing Russians and Germans to come to America, not stealing them legally, literally, but like we were bringing them over here because they were some smart bitches and they had some killer.
We brought a lot of Nazis over here. It was called Operation Paperclip after World War II. Instead of putting the German scientists in prison,
like where they should have been.
We brought him here. Werner Braun ran NASA. We brought up like 1,500 of them over here and put them to work.
See, not a lot of people know that.
Yeah. Well,
and again, who did? We did. Who's we? I didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't me, man.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Like this is what.
Yeah, we say we. That's true. That's a good point. We say we, but it wasn't me. It was guys who were like, they were looking at the big picture. Like, okay, these guys are really smart. These German scientists.
Let's not waste these brains.
Exactly.
Let's leverage anything we can, no matter what, to become the best and the toughest and the baddest and the most secure, which kind of worked.
Yeah.
But they also covered up and lied. And, you know, the JFK files that are coming out, like all of the people are waking up because, dude, I don't understand how. I think it's pretty obvious now that JFK was assassinated,
of course,
by us.
Yeah. Us.
Yeah. He wasn't assassinated by a foreign entity.
It's going to come out. Like
it's already out. Or am I seeing what I call diversification content? You know what that is? We're like the people on the left. I'm a platform like, let's say, you know, Facebook. I'm going to let the people on the left see videos that make the people on the right look stupid and racist, and vice
versa.
And bad. And I'm going to show them the extreme right, making them think it's just anyone on the right. That way, anyone that even likes a little bit of what Trump does is going to get ridiculed because you must be a
Well, that didn't work out for him, did it, Brad?
No, but watch. Then the platform now does it to the people on the right.
Yeah.
It now shows people on the right content that makes those guys look like they're just really soft, weak, you know, sheep.
Yeah.
And so it's like, let's keep the sheep thinking they're asshole, racist, scumbag capitalists. And let's keep the scumbag, racist capitalist thinking that they're freaking sheep.
Yeah.
And so the algorithm serves the sheep food, and it serves the rednecks, the you know, stupid food. And all of a sudden everybody's screaming at each other and we're getting farther and farther apart, when in reality,
division. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is. It's diversification. And that's literally because if we all united,
and we're dangerous,
well, then we are in control. We, the people. The reason why we, the people, aren't in control, because there is no we anymore.
Yeah.
We can't communicate and prove that we agree. The government can.
Yeah.
The government holds meetings and committees and all this bullshit, and they rubber stamp it all. They govern themselves and us. They protect the hen house, as it were. And we elected them supposedly to do it, right? And we can't prove what they can.
Yeah.
See, they can prove we all agreed.
Yeah.
Where's the ball? Where's the law that passed? Where's the president's signature? Oh, that happened in the 6th Judicial Hall of Washington, D.C. Where's the signature? Okay, yep, this is real, guys. Well, that's because they can prove it. You see the difference?
Yeah, man.
Tell me how we, the people, can prove that we all agree. Well, how about the election?
Yeah.
We all pretty much agreed. Well, I bet you the last election, I hate to say it sound like conspiracy guy. I think there's corruption in elections. Whether my guy wins or not, I think there's corruption in elections. Why? Because humans are in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why. And at some level, all humans have a price. At some level, all humans have a price. I'll say it again. Do you believe that?
Most humans.
At some level.
Okay. Yeah.
All humans have a price.
Because you could give them a price like, if you don't do this, I'll kill your whole family.
Dude, it's a price.
Yeah.
And all humans have a price.
Yeah, you're right.
And so whenever that's the case, you have to factor that in. So now who's running the government? People, humans. Well, if you listen to Alex Jones, maybe reptilians.
Well,
and by the way, did he ever say that, or is that just rumor?
He never really focused on it. He had people on his show. See, the thing is, he has a lot of people talking about these ideas that sort of push the envelope of understanding the world we live in. And people on his show might have talked about it, but that doesn't mean he believes it all. I'm sure you don't agree with everything every guest you have on your show. It's like, but people will take clips and distort what he says. And I'm not defending everything he believes or says, but I know the guy, and I'm telling you, like, he's an earnest guy. He's not crazy.
He doesn't seem like he's dishonest. It looks like he's trying to alert the public to shit he's finding.
Exactly.
And he might be wrong sometimes, just
Everybody's
like we
wrong.
all are. Exactly. So it's like, if someone said, you like Alex Jones? Yeah. I mean, he's a little aggressive, with his, gets all red faced, but again, that's just his personality.
And that's not an act. Off camera, he's the same way. I mean,
he looks like he's an authentic
stuff
dude.
Is like life or death. It's existential. Like that's why he's excited.
Well,
he believes it's about the future of his family, the future of humanity,
it is
the future of human liberty, the future of health freedom. The future,
it is.
I know. So that's why he takes it he's so passionate about it.
Well, I wish we had more like that.
Me too, man.
But again, the trouble comes when maybe he didn't vet a story and he went on what he saw and what he heard. Because I've done it before, where it's like, damn it, they did this, and then I'm like, I can't believe they did this, and someone says, dude, that was debunked. And I always ask the person, how do you know it was debunked? From the internet, the same place I heard it. So it's like, if I were a liar and you came out with the truth and I was good, I'd come out with the debunked proof.
Yeah.
And guess what? Everyone would say, that's been debunked. That's been debunked. Dude, quit saying that's been debunked. I hate that shit.
I know, I hate that shit too.
That's been debunked. Well, you went and verified it yourself, did you? You went out there and did your own investigation, and in fact, it has been debunked, or no? Somebody put out a frickin' spin story, and you're eating that one instead of the first one.
Well, think about this, Brad. So, did CNN and New York Times ever say something that wasn't true?
They were paid. Yeah, dude, they lied.
But they don't get sued for billions of dollars. They don't get deplatformed. They told us the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation.
See, what
happened to them?
I'd like to see.
Because I said it was true, and I got censored. So the person telling the truth, me, got censored while people were lying. The New York Times and CNN. Nothing happened to them. They did it with impunity. So, but if Alex Jones says something wrong, he's the bad man. He needs to be sued for $1 billion and taken off the air. CNN and then New York Times lie all the time. Happens every day. They lie about something for political reasons or to advance big
It's not just those.
I'm just picking them out because they're big names, but the entire legacy media, as being proven now from Doge, was working as the subsidiaries of the intelligence community, getting paid with our tax dollars to lie to us. They had they called it the Office of
Our tax dollars funded the lies.
Yeah, DARPA had an office called the Office of Disinformation and Social Manipulation. Like, they don't even try to make it have a nice name anymore. They used to be like, call it the Ministry of Truth or something. Now they just call it what it is. They just call it the Office of Lying. That's what it is. And what happens to them? They don't get treated like Alex Jones got treated. So there's a double standard, and their lies are much more dangerous than his. Their lies lead to wars. Their lies to people taking dangerous medications. Their lies lead to people's children getting killed. So they can go fuck off, and then they're going to stand there and grandstand and moralize us about how they're so pure. They're the opposite of pure. He's an honest guy he's wrong sometimes, but they're purposely lying. He's a guy who makes some mistakes. There's a big difference between making a mistake and purposely, knowingly lying to the American people to hurt them. It's not the same thing. It's not equivalent. They're way more evil, for lack of a better word.
Am I getting y'all lathered
You
up?
get me a little lathered up, a little bit.
So are you like hunting for a canvas or some artistic tools? Because it's probably from the thought that goes into it, probably just a way to get rid of that freaking
Exactly. Am I getting a little too much? It's like I'm passionate about.
No, but
this
you
stuff.
can tell that like you care about it. That's what I like.
Do you, man? This is real. This is life and death. You know, like this shit's not. It's not a joke.
Do you think artists all around the world, or anybody for that matter, should feel an obligation to ultimately take a stand and hold, and call people out?
That's a really good question. And I think, listen, your choice as an artist, if you want to just make pretty pictures or pretty music or whatever, that's cool, man. I have no problem with that. But I do think at some point in your career, I think it's incumbent upon you as an artist to reflect what you feel is going on in society in an honest way, because that's what artists do. That's the purpose of art, to reflect society back in a way that makes sense, and kind of distill it through the human mind, the creative spirit, and come back with something that's either entertaining or beautiful or thought-provoking or whatever, a song or a movie or a book. So I do think it's incumbent upon artists to do that, yes.
And you have a book coming out.
It's coming out.
The Thought Crimes of Anthony Freda.
Mm-hmm.
You have thought crimes.
I do.
Dude, that's what's crazy too, because everything starts with a thought. So every crime that's ever taken place is usually started with a thought. But I know that every physical thing did. Like this couldn't have been built without someone thinking about it first.
Yeah.
So have you ever read those books? Like, so the thinking stuff is the magical.
As a man thinketh.
Yeah. Well, no.
No.
The thinking stuff comes from a book called Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles.
I'll check it out.
I would have everyone check it out if they were not the word intuitive. It's like, if you're interested in this stuff, if you have the inkling.
Yeah.
Because dude, what it basically says is there's some thinking stuff and all things come from it. And it's literally technically true. It's crazy. I want to see the painting of you depicting what you were just talking about. I could say, man, hey, do a painting on the just overall corruption. And then I'd love to see who's in it and what comes out of your head and that, because you're almost like when it says illustrator, that's a really good name for it, because you're illustrating visually a lot in one technical picture, even though it's like there's a lot in that painting or that picture or that image, but a lot's in that image. You know what I mean? Like the Chinese dragons. Now that you said that, now I get it. So it's like, dude, that painting is freaking bad to the bone.
Thanks, bro.
And I'll bet you could easily sell it for $50,000. In fact, again, I hope the bomb squad, someone in the bomb squad, because I got a lot of people in the bomb squad make a lot of money.
Yeah, man.
And then I got a lot of people that want to make a lot of money. But the ones that have a lot of money, that collect art like me, I'd say go look at this piece. Go look at Big Pharma. I named it. Would it be funny if they said, well, we need you to sign it too, Brad?
You can sign it.
Hell no, dude. I wouldn't ruin your art. So that's an original acrylic, came out of your head. There's not another one like it in the world. Are there prints made of it?
I can make prints of any of my work. If somebody sees something they
what
like,
if I bought it?
DM me. Well, you on the original, original is always going to.
Yeah, but if I bought the original and you haven't made any prints off of it, and I say, I own this now. You don't own this anymore. You sold it to me. Now I can make prints.
We'll work something out, Brett. We'll work it out.
Well, if I commission you, dude, I don't want another one ever that looks like that.
That'll be in the contract.
And if it does exist, well, that's because I sold it. People that want what I got, they're going to have to come to
That's
me
fair. That's fair.
or go get their own version of it. Otherwise, it'd be kind of just leasing your picture from you, wouldn't it?
No, because that original piece of art that's your tangible piece of art. That's always going to have value, intrinsic value. Where the print is always like you can have a print of the Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
right?
but as
that's
an
not
artist,
like owning the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, but as an artist, if you painted a big canvas, you know, and then I came along and just made copies of it and sold those for $99, and everyone loved your painting so much, but they
you
couldn't.
You got the real value. You got. The
I know, but I can't do that, can I? Isn't that pirated? Isn't that like
no
counterfeit?
You can get as long as you
have the rights, don't you?
You got. I would sell you the rights with the painting. Okay, so you could do whatever you want.
But as an artist, you have the rights.
I have the rights to my work.
So if you painted something and someone started making posters and selling them, couldn't you just say you don't own that image to do that?
You know, we're in the Wild West out there, man. People take my stuff off. People made whole books about my stuff, and like, I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, they do it in a different country. What are you going to do? Go chase them to Thailand or something? You know, you can't control.
I'm not sure.
Once it's on the web, you have no control over it.
I'm not sure if they have to edit this in, or I can see it. But that video that's coming out about your book, like that video, I think is going to freaking just go crazy. It's cool as hell. I just don't know if you guys are out there and you know which one it is, but only if it's easy and smooth to do.
You can do it. I have faith in you. I think it's going to add to the show. I really do.
Let's see it. I want to see this. This is badass. Watch this, folks. Again, this.
No, that's not the one.
That ain't it.
That's the bomb one.
Although that's cool.
I thought the bomb one was. This is the one.
There it is. That all your artwork?
Dropping bombs.
Dude, that's going to go big. That's the promotional piece. Holy smokes. Where can people see that video?
On my Instagram page.
It's on there?
Yeah.
Folks, if you're listening, if you're watching, you'll see it because I'm going to have the team splice it in and provide the link, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're listening, get off your treadmill or just pull it up on your iPhone and go check it out. You can all find this stuff at Anthony Freda Art because there's this, like all of his stuff. Dude, that video makes me want like all those pieces.
Well, that's the idea of the book.
And that was all your artwork.
Yeah, that's just a small sampling.
But that's all yours.
Oh yeah, everything's mine.
See, again, like I look at those and I'm thinking, damn, dude, like just imagine, like I'd like to own every piece that I saw. That one where it looked like Michelangelo with like surgical gloves, or what was that? It was too quick. There was a shot. It was surgical gloves.
Yeah, it was
that
creation of man, where I kind of this idea of, you know, did God create man, or is man playing God with the shots and all, you know, the whole COVID idea that we're going to control nature, we're going to control reality, control biology, control human body with these shots that were made by man.
Hey, can we see that again? Look at this. Just pause. In the very beginning.
It's a little tricky.
Like that right there. Pause. Like that image is just cool. Like, I don't know. Is that a piece of artwork or is that a bunch of your artwork?
That's just a screenshot of my Facebook page.
But I mean, is each one of those
each
pieces art?
Each one's a piece of art. So
dude, the whole thing is a piece of art.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
It's
like a mosaic of my art.
It's a mosaic of your art, which is art in and of itself. Like I'd like to have that hanging somewhere. Just that shot right there.
I'll send you that.
Dude, look at this. This is like just cool looking stuff. I think everyone's going to go. And then your bombs, dude. Where's the bomb video? Watch this. I should open my show with this. It's all bombs.
You could use any bombs you want, brother.
Well, when they get that up, look at my bomb. What do you think of it?
I think it looks great. I mean, I could probably make it more.
Well, dude, make it make it more. Make it more. So my background is an original Freda background.
Yeah, I'll do something for you.
You can even I'll even leave your name up. You know, you can even sign it if you want.
You
People
got
are
it,
like,
man.
damn, that's Anthony
I'll
Freda.
start working on that. I got some ideas.
Dude, the bomb video though, look at that. That's all the different types of explosions.
So
They
I was
went too
doing-
quick. The one
well,
I
was
saw
doing
kept
a bomb.
going.
I did 50 bombs. I was so outraged by the Ukraine war and us giving, well, you talked about this, how we gave them 170 billion. They, oops, we don't know where 100 billion went. That's billion with the B.
No.
No, what did I say?
We gave them, well, it goes, the way you make it sound like, you know, we don't know where it went.
Oh, no, we know.
Well, who's we?
Yeah.
What I said, which is the same thing essentially, but it's even worse if you ask me. We sent 177 billion to Zelensky, and he's saying, well, I only received 77 billion. So, okay, so where's the other 100 billion? We're not saying we didn't give it to him. He's saying I didn't get it. Okay, well then how come we don't say, well, where the F is it?
How is
Number
that real?
one,
How is that real?
because it went somewhere and we're okay with that. So number two, how does him and his wife have a $5.9 million Bugatti? Like, how are the people there buying massive yachts and living like they're billionaires?
And the people in North Carolina.
I thought there was a war going on. I thought that there was a bunch of, you know, people being bombed in the streets, and, you know, Zelensky should be, you know, busy handling war, you know, but his wife's buying a Bugatti. Where's that money come from? If I just gave you billions of dollars for something and I saw your wife buy a Bugatti, I'd go, Anthony, come here for a minute. Where'd she get that money, bro? Where'd she get that money? And if you couldn't explain it, and I handed you $177 billion or even $7 billion, and you couldn't explain that, bro, you wouldn't get another freaking dime, first of all. And if anybody in the country wanted a dime, I'd say, get that dude out of office. Well, that's what they do in some countries to destabilize the area. When you start to get deep in it, dude, it's crazy what's going on.
That's crazy. I mean, if Alex Jones said that, people say it's crazy. $100 billion we can't account for it. He says you never got. Oops.
Nope.
That's anybody who's not pissed off at that, or $100 billion of your tax money was given to these corrupt oligarchs that we don't even know. Oh, they lost it. If that doesn't piss you off, while the people in North Carolina, they get $750 and they've lost their entire life. They're living right now in the cold. I mean, it's disgraceful. It's an FU to every American who pays taxes. It's the biggest possible FU. You tell me these people aren't evil. They're either astonishingly inept and really not very good at their job, or they're intentionally corrupt and evil. You take your pick. I made mine.
Well, mine would be
100 billion, dude.
I think there's a lot of people that are surrounding the evil that aren't evil, but they're surrounded by real evil. And when I say surrounded, I mean they're around. They're in the environment of the evil one or ones. And then there's some people that aren't really evil, but they're influenced easily by the evil ones, and they're fed false information in some cases to get them to do what a normal, decent human being would never do. Like, for example, Food and Drug Administration. Okay. How is our food created to where these dyes and these chemicals that are not I mean, people know that those are not good for us.
They're banned in every country
but
here.
Yet somebody in a department that's supposedly there to protect us from that are the very people saying it's okay to put it in the food, knowing full well people are going to eat the food, knowing full well that shit, based on studies, is not good for us. Now, again, that's what I see, but I'm but on the right side than the left side, I think.
Oh, you're on the right side of the truth.
But my point is that's what I see. I could be crazy. Maybe I'm being fed that bullshit, and that's not the truth. That's not the truth, Brad. The truth is, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was the truth, which is why I took the stance I take. But I'm taking a stance where I think is just common sense. Like, if they're actually allowing the chemicals into the food, like RFK.
Well, that's why I worked for RFK. I worked on his campaign for a year when he was running it, because he knows the FDA is corrupt. And the other part of the corruption, like answering the question, like where the $100 billion go, and why doesn't anybody talk about it? Is it corruption? Is it incompetence? Is it evil? The other part of it that we're not talking about is blackmail. So the Epstein Island factor.
Well,
a lot
again,
of these people, they don't
they've
want
been
to
to
do
the
this
Diddy
stuff,
parties, bro.
but they got to film them at the Diddy party. They got to film them in Epstein Island.
Epstein Island.
They got the honeypots. So that's another big part of the
people don't factor that in, right? What you're saying. Tell them what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, the most powerful people in the world were going to Epstein's Island, and they were
multiple times.
Yeah, multiple times, like Bill Gates, dirtbag, and he was working with CIA and Mossad.
But let's just say, because again, I don't truly want this whole thing suppressed. I want to get it out there.
It's going to come out.
I know, but I don't want you to say like words that will flag shit.
Okay, I'm not. I'm
we
saying
can
allegedly.
No. We can, again, it's not the accusation. It's too far past that.
I'm not the first person to say
words that the AI listens to.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The first 7 seconds of any video, AI is listening, and it flags.
That's why I get in so much trouble, Brad.
Well, if you're going to say stuff, say it after the first 7 seconds of your video, because
that right? So that's good to know.
100%. So AI listens heavily in the first 7 seconds. If you refrain from talking too many buzzwords in the first 7 seconds, it kind of levels down, and now you're okay. And then if you were to say, for example, an F-bomb, it's okay. Just don't say it over and over and over, because it's still monitoring your ass. And when you go F in a row, boom, now it flags.
Gotcha.
Well, sometimes it doesn't go to a human to review because it's happening in real time. Mm-hmm. So guess what it does? It automatically just shuts it down from it suppresses it until a human can look at it. And then if you're lucky, a human will look at it and be like, oh man, Anthony was just talking about this. Yeah, he's I thought it was something else. Well, AI thought it was something else.
Gotcha.
It's stupid, but it's true. And that I've learned that from the people at the platform that like work there.
That's a great tip to know. Yeah. I've worked with a lot of people who, I worked on a documentary with William Binney. He's the former technical director of the NSA. One of my heroes, and he was the one who designed the bulk acquisition data mining systems, which he designed after 9/11 to go after terrorists. When the NSA started using it and pointed it towards every American in violation of our Fourth Amendment rights, he said, this is against the law. We can't do this. It's unconstitutional. There's no probable cause. There's no reason to monitor these people. You can't just monitor every American. You can't do it. He told me personally.
They're doing it now.
I know, but this is where it started in like 2003. I'm going back 20 years.
I know, but you realize.
Yeah, well, what happened with William
It's
Binney?
listening to every damn
absolutely.
thing. It knows we're together. It knows where we are. It's hearing what we say. Wow. I bet you anything, it's probably taking a picture every 5 seconds.
Yeah. William Binney quit because he would refuse to break the law. So they came to his house, SWAT teams came to his house. He was in the shower. They dragged him out of the shower, arrested him under false charges, and they tried to destroy his life.
Aren't you worried about that happening to you?
Well, I don't really have any insider information. I'm kind of exposing things that have already been out there. It's just about, what I want to do in my work is shine light in these dark places, because when we shine a light in these dark places, then we illuminate a path towards a future which is based on the truth, where we can all sort of when we're fed a stream of lies from the mainstream media and from the government, we can't forge a path forward because we don't know where the hell we're going. We're walking blind because we don't have accurate information.
And it's hard to get. Why? Because again, here's my biggest pet peeve, and I'm one of the fairest guys out there nowadays. So to me, I'm always trying to just be down the line, call it like I see it, don't have bias, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, it's like the mainstream media. They say something, I don't want to believe it. I say they're full of it. everybody knows the mainstream media lies. They've been proven. They're liars. They're liars. They're liars. Everyone will agree that they've been caught and it's proven. Mainstream media are liars. Meaning they lied a little bit or they lied a lot is irrelevant. If you lie at all, you're a liar. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we know that they throw out lies. But then when people see on the mainstream media something that they confirm, you know what I mean? Like they agree with, well, all of a sudden they want to pretend that that's the truth too. Because it confirms with what I believe. So yeah, that's the truth too. Look, they know it. Everybody knows it. Well, again, that could be the lie too. You never know what's true and what's false is my point.
Yeah.
So when you look to the mainstream media to get your evidence, you're already a fool. That there's no proof that that's facts. You weren't there. You don't know somebody. You're just going on what somebody's selling you and you don't know if it's facts. Mm-hmm. So when people get so freaking engaged with their ultimately position, they got to realize, dude, you're just deciding to go with that position. So why are you so adamant to fight about it? And most people can't answer that question because it's true. They just went on what they read. Okay, well, maybe what you read is bullshit.
Well, another part of the problem, which is we talked about corruption, blackmail, evil. The other part of it is if you look at the mainstream media, 70% of their funding comes from big pharma. So there's a conflict of interest. They can't accurately report on the people that are sponsoring their show. There's a conflict of interest. It's the most basic form of, of corruption.
It's tortious business interference almost.
You can't do it. So, I mean, if they find out, if Pfizer is paying for their show and they find out a Pfizer product is faulty or is dangerous, Pfizer's going to say, I'm not paying for this show. Like, would you pay for a story saying what a horrible person you are? It's like, no, of course you would. Nobody would. So why would the drug companies do it? They're going to kill that story, or they're going to say, we're going to pull our funding. So it's baked into the cake that there's corruption.
Well, because there's humans involved.
Yeah.
Guys, anytime there's humans involved in a mass scale, dude, there's going to be corruption. There's going to be greed. There's going to be envy. There's going to be things that are down and dirty, underbelly.
Down and dirty.
Well, dude, you've been exposed to it for a long time.
Yeah.
How do you think it's affected you overall?
Well, like I say, if I didn't have my art, I'd probably be like in a nut house because it's seeing all the corruption and the lies and just feeling powerless, feeling impotent to do anything about it. Like I felt I had to get engaged because at least I mean, not that I could change the world, but I feel like I'm doing something, even if it's nothing really in the big picture. It's like, I feel like I'm doing something.
Could the Bomb Squad do something by buying your prints?
Yeah. I mean, and everything
can I buy every single one of those as a print?
Any print you see, I can give you anything, an image you see, I can provide a print for. But I also I do a lot of my work pro bono for causes that I believe in. For anti-war causes. I formed Occupy Peace with Gerald Salente. I work on a lot of pro health freedom initiatives, and so I give back, by volunteering my services to a lot of places that people are doing things that I believe in to help humanity.
Well, I always ask, how can the Bomb Squad help? And I can already tell, they can help by go into his Instagram page and check out his artwork. If you guys like badass art, trust me. Now, again, everyone has their own flavor. If you like, cubism and shit, well, this ain't cubism. This is like imagination and depiction. And like, I could put a whole house together with it. And you know what's crazy about your art? I wouldn't buy any furniture. I'd get the lighting for your painting or your graphic lit perfectly, and I would decorate the walls and design the walls with all different pieces of your stuff. Like I could see a whole entire home because it's so different, but yet the same.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's my
you used
style.
to sell art, right?
I used to sell actual freaking like Picassos.
Cool. Wow.
And again, I mean, if you look at it, like Picasso was just hailed as a genius, but if you look at some of his shit, it's ugly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I mean, it's like, meh, like I don't prefer Picasso.
Yeah.
You know, I would sell a Picasso in 10 seconds. Any Picasso I've ever seen, I would sell it in 10 seconds. If it was just to enjoy, I'd sell it in 10 seconds and buy one of yours.
Oh, wow.
Picasso just rolled over in his grave. But I am serious. Like, I'd rather have your artwork up in my home to enjoy. Now, to show off, to invest in, you know, I'm taking a Picasso, bro. Sorry, you got to die first and be gone a while.
I'm working on it.
But at the end of the day, I don't know why Picasso got such critical worldwide acclaim in some of these other big name artists, but I'm not an artist, so I can't appreciate what maybe other artists can appreciate. Yeah. Like, I like Salvador Dali.
Yeah, me too. He's one of my favorites.
Than Picasso.
Yeah.
I liked, believe it or not, I was intrigued with the guy. He's not in that category, but Kincaid's. If you're Thomas Kincaid,
sure, yeah.
You know, the lighting on a Kincaid would be like, whoa. But I work with a lot of artists like Bill Mack. You know Bill Mack, or heard of Bill Mack? But they were alive and well and just, you know, made cool stuff.
Yeah. Man.
But your gallery, Star Gallery in New York City.
Yeah, it's kind of on hiatus now since COVID. It kind of changed the game with that. But I plan to get it back up and running.
What would people do when they ran through? Like, in other words, I'm imagining if I put together an art gallery, even a pop-up, and put big pieces of those. Again, I don't know if you'd have to do them again or, like, you know, create something and splash some paint over it. I always have questions. Like, if I were an artist, like, I'd start with something that big that already looks cool, and then I'd splash it and then sign it. And that's my art. My art is almost like a enhancement art. I take existing kick-assery, whether I made it or not, because then it saves me so much time. Like, how are you going to paint that right there? Look at that. You could paint that. You could draw that. But how much time would it be? Why not just slap some coolness on that one and it's done? And that's your art. I had an artist one time make me this thing, and it included like a life story, and I still have it. Well, I didn't take care of it because I was kind of stupid, but it's big, and it literally, one day is going to be somewhere. But it was in the garage, and somebody threw the bike in there, and it basically tore the canvas. And so what I had someone do is put another piece of canvas behind it, right? Make some glitter and whatnot, and then glue that tear back down. And now it looks better than before it was torn. Literally. When we walk out of here, I'm going to show you a piece of art in my office where I accidentally set it next to the hot tub, and it literally made the paint run.
Wow.
And the paint running looked better than the paint not running.
That's funny.
And it's the American flag.
Wow.
And I named it because I did that, which means I took someone else's art and accidentally made it original in my own way, whether it be damaged it or whatever I did. And I called it Fading Glory.
Oh, I like that.
Because the flag we know is Old Glory.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, it's Fading Glory.
That's
and in today's times, dude, our colors are fading. Yeah. And it's time that we get back to, you know, what made the country great.
Amen.
Was, and by the way, that's not, you know, that does include inclusion. That does include a lot of these things. It just doesn't do it to the extreme and the ridiculousness. Yeah. You know, your kid thinks it's a cat. Okay. You need to get your kid some help, not a litter box. Okay. You don't humor the shit. You don't condone the shit. You're there to lead and guide people to, like, be productive, contributing members of the society that we all live in and hopefully all want to get better.
Yeah. Amen.
And dude, you're doing it in your own way, but I'm sure there's people hating on you. I know there is, because again, I mean, you've already said it and millions of examples of it, but I'm talking about just regular people. They're not in the government. They're not trying to suppress you.
No,
but they're looking at y'all. Oh, who does this guy think he is? And
yeah, well, I have a bunch of stories like that where people, I mean, I've had death threats, you know, people, so I knew Robert Trump's brother.
I was going to ask if you needed security ever.
Well, I might have, but a few times, but, Trump's brother, Robert, when he was alive, he had a restaurant. He was going to give me a show in his restaurant in upstate New York. And he got so much hate online because they knew at the time I worked for InfoWars, and they just attacking me, saying they're going to come to the restaurant, like burn it down. So he just came to me and he said, look, I really wanted to give you the show because I don't need this shit, you know. Like, he was a great guy, Robert, but he didn't want to be political, you know. I was actually at his house one time having Bloody Marys in the morning, and this is when Trump was first term president, and he gets a phone call, he picks it up. Sure enough, he's in the kitchen talking to his brother. His brother was his best friend too, and he's one of the only people Trump trusted. And he's talking to his brother, just talking like two brothers. Hangs up, and he just says, "I just don't know why my brother got into politics. Like, he had the best life of anyone I ever knew. Nobody hated him. Nobody called him a racist, misogynist, homophobe. Like,
Who was it?
this is Trump's brother, Robert, and
Trump's brother?
yeah, Donald Trump's brother when he was president. I knew him.
I didn't even know he had a brother, Robert.
Yeah, we died a few years ago, but anyway, they were very close. But that's just one example. He was going to give me the show. They got bomb threats and all kinds of stuff, so they canceled the show because of me, and I felt bad. But yeah, people want to kill me all the time, dude. It's like, I got the 9/11. I did a piece. I have the only piece in the 9/11 museum that questions the official narrative, and people don't like that.
Well, again, that's a question, man. There's a lot of, this is what I mean by, are they feeding me this or is it true? Because if it's true, well, then it's obvious what happened there. But if it's not true and I'm being fed by, you know, these manipulators of content, because I believe that those exist too. Like, it's called a narrative. It's called, they're spinning the narrative. They're professionals. You're getting psyoped every single day from the internet.
Yeah.
And the question is what's a psyop? What's not? What are the Russian bots that are making everybody believe it's a 15-year-old kid in Alabama that's saying it? And that's what the Americans are believing because everybody online is saying it, named John and Kathy and Alan and Bob. And when in reality, dude, that's Vladimir and like Russians.
But then there's another layer where they were lying to us about the Russians. They were saying the Russians were doing that kind of stuff, but it was all a hoax. You know, the intelligence community in America was saying that Trump was a Russian asset, and it was all bullshit. So, you know,
and that was all made up and found, and that was debunked.
Yes, and that was CNN and New York Times telling us that.
Well, this is a perfect example. So that was debunked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it debunked, or did they just release that it's been debunked? Because you know that's how it works.
Oh, it did.
So we all think, oh, it was debunked. See, it was debunked, and so we're choosing to believe that information, but we weren't willing to believe he was involved. So they're like, okay, well then let's just release the debunk story, the debunk narrative. Okay, it's been debunked. When in reality, it was never debunked. Nobody debunked anything. Like, who said it was debunked? Well, the internet. Isn't it the same thing that said he did it? Yeah. Well, then why are you believing either side? It's the internet saying it. It's you can't debunk it because you weren't there and you don't know people.
Yeah. Well,
so you can't do anything.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the bottom of it. But yeah, listen, intelligence agencies create all sorts of narratives, counter narratives. They lie. That's what they do. I mean, and they try to manipulate people and influence them through their deceptions.
So how do you choose which side to believe for yourself?
I do investigation, and I try to come to people. I try to gravitate towards, you know, whistleblowers and people that are real investigative journalists.
Maybe it's confirmation
start off, don't
bias.
listen to CNN. You'll be okay. Or New York Times, because we know that they're proving now that they were getting a paycheck from, you know, the intelligence community, from DARPA. Like, they were getting paid to disseminate false stories. I've always known this, but now Elon's getting the receipts. He can prove it with the checks.
Well, again, supposedly.
No, it's going to come out, man. It's coming.
Well, I know, I'm seeing it, but again, is that information real?
Well, listen, is this real? Are we in a simulation, Brad? We don't know what's real.
Yeah, but supposedly, he sent $50 million in condoms to Hamas in Gaza, and then now it's out. That wasn't Hamas in Gaza, you idiots. That was a different Gaza, and it was for some you know, African village or something. And
well, the quest for the truth never ends.
But my question is that true? No. Well, someone could have just released that. Now everybody's arguing over what Elon meant. And Elon's never called me and said, dude, here's what happened. So I don't know is my point.
We'll get to the bottom of a lot of this
I
stuff.
believe it though. Why do I believe it? Because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because now it's starting to make sense why nobody wanted to let old Trump back in office, how nobody wanted this party to end. And that's why bullets were flying at the guy's head. And, you know, Elon, dude, he don't need shit from nobody. So listen, if you think there's corruption with Elon, I think he might be evil. He might be corrupt. I don't think he is, but let's pretend he might be. He certainly isn't being controlled or influenced by money. You understand that? So lay off of Elon. He's not being controlled. He's not being influenced by money. Now, did he go to a Diddy party? Are there pictures? Again, I personally don't think it matters. If I had more money than anyone in the world and more than I could ever spend, dude, you would never be able to control me or make me do anything unethical or bad. And I don't care I don't care what your threat was, unless of course you're going to kill my family. Yeah. You know, but at the end of the day, like, dude, I don't think Elon cares about as much as all these people think. And he's in there doing all this. Dude, I think what he's doing is he's yanking back the covers and he's catching people in a lewd act and nobody wants to fricking admit it.
I agree.
That's what I think.
I think you're right.
Elon, keep going. You should make a piece for Elon. See, if I were in your shoes, bro, with your talent, and that's in my mind, when artists, they're lucky because, dude, you can go make $1 million in an afternoon by smoking pot and painting something badass. I'm serious. You could drop acid and make something and sell it for $100,000, $200,000, $500,000. How many people want it? That's how much your paintings are worth. If nobody wants your shit, worthless. Everybody wants your shit, skyrockets. It's the same piece, same painting, and you can manufacture it all day, every day. Yeah. So if I were you, because I'm a marketing guy, so I'm just trying to think, if I was him, what would I do? Dude, if I was you, I'd take your talent and your passion and I would almost draft off of current affairs and land right in the limelight with everybody else because of that. Because like you could make a picture and give it to Elon. Free of charge, of course, but he would probably love it. Put it on Twitter. Boom. Who's this? Who's this? Who's this? Bang. All of a sudden, bro, you got freaking 9 billion followers and everybody wants that freaking picture.
That's good to me, man.
And all you did was what? Took a little time and made Elon a picture. Or Trump. Like I know an artist named Artlanta. You ever heard of him?
No.
Anyway, he just splashes paint, but you know, before he did paint art, I got some. He called me when he wasn't really that famous and said, hey, will you help me and buy this from me? And I'm like, how much you want for it? I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. You know, cause I mean, you know, I'll do that. I have him somewhere around here, but next thing you know, he blows up on social media. He starts splashing paint on Lamborghinis and, you know, making a lot of money.
God bless him. Getting
some fame. And then he just donated or did something where he made Trump something. And it went online.
Oh, I think I did see that. Yeah.
Dude, now that frickin's ridiculous. So I'd do that because, dude, I don't think Elon cares about the value of anything. And that's why that type of thing is the only thing that would just really get him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He can buy anything, bro, but he can't buy that. You have to think of it first. And you're on the right perspective. You know what I mean? I just sit here and like to text you from now on and say, hey, make an image regarding this. And then I just freaking wait till that image came out just to see it.
Anytime, man.
Based off the big pharma painting.
Yeah.
The eagle from the money and that one that I saw, you know what I'm talking about? Like all of them, bro. The helmets and the skulls. And then there's some that like, it's not all that. It's almost like you're eclectic as hell.
Yeah.
But it still has the same
different iterations of my voice, you know.
Dude, how long do you think in your mind you're going to keep painting, keep doing this?
Till I drop. So I just want to tell a quick story. Like a year ago, my partner, I was laying in bed we were watching Obama's movie that leaving the world behind.
Yeah.
And she started getting real nervous. And she said, like, and I thought it was a stupid show. It was like Obama's End of the World movie, you know?
Yeah. I saw it.
And I said, I thought it was just a movie, right? Making her nervous. I said, let's turn this crap off, right? She starts going into seizures. And she goes into a coma.
Who?
My partner, my fiance.
Whoa.
And I'm sitting there, we were just, nothing wrong with her. She's an incredibly healthy person, very fit, like professional athlete type fitness, right? And then starts foaming at the mouth, having convulsive seizure. And I thought she was going to die. And I didn't know what to do. And I never felt so helpless in my life. Make a long story short, she survived. It's a year later now, and she's healthy and she's convalescing, but she's coming back to herself. And I love her very much. And what happened that night changed me. It made me just realize how you could be healthy 1 second and dead the next. So time is so valuable, and I want to spend every minute creating. It brought me closer to God too. It brought me closer to my faith, and it made me cherish life more. Every minute, every second is valuable. I don't want to waste 1 minute of it.
Dude, we should have started with this. That's what we should have started with.
That'd be all worked. That'd be all.
I know, but like that was the best. That was the cherry. But we should have started with that. That would have just freaking been amazing. But I should have. I mean, I know you got to go, and this is the end. Even though I don't want it necessarily to be, I want to get more into that. Like, dude, that's power.
I'll come back for that one. That's a whole other story. That's a whole story, dude.
You come to Vegas a lot?
I'll come back for you, man. All
right. Well, listen, dude, I'll have you back anytime. I want to just pick your brain and talk about old stories.
I got a million.
Or like any of these quote unquote not controversies, conspiracies, especially when it surrounds reptilians and aliens. And, I'm wondering, like, I want to know, Alex still?
Well, I kind of, when they really started going after him, I mean, they went after him. People don't
Yeah, but can you text him? Are you guys buddies or no?
Yeah, I could get a hold of him.
So text him and say, Alex, Anthony, hey, why do they call them UAPs all of a sudden instead of UFOs? You ever wonder that?
Yeah, I'll do some research.
Have you ever wondered that though?
Yeah.
You know that UFOs are now called UAPs?
You know what Project Bluebeam is?
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, well.
But that's just holographic. That's just holographic images and technology to make it look like something's real in the sky or.
Yeah, but there's a greater meaning behind it. What they want to do is have it.
Well, supposedly.
Religion. No, there's a whistleblower wrote a book about it, and an insider wrote a book. He wound up mysteriously with a bullet in the back of his head, suicided. It was about starting to create a one world religion by having this vision that the whole world sees.
And it's like,
Can't deny it. Everybody sees it.
Yeah. Well, and it's realistic as hell looking, but it's still holographic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, so that I do want to talk about that, but I just don't know the very simple answer to this. Maybe someone can say it. Why did it go from a UFO to a UAP? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'll look into it.
How come you never hear the word UFO anymore?
It's a good question.
It's always UAP. And what does UAP stand for?
I forgot.
I don't even know, but I know what UFO stood for.
Yeah.
Unidentified flying object.
Well, controlling language is a big part of, controlling the narrative. If you control the language, like undocumented, migrant as opposed to illegal alien, two different, same thing, but has very different meaning to different people. So languages, Orwell talked about that. Controlling the language is the key to controlling society.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Gotcha. Interesting.
It went from an unidentified flying object, a UFO, to a unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, I'll get to the bottom of that.
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Put it this way, it's not there's a reason for it.
There's a reason for it, and that's what I'm getting at. I'm telling you, it's my intuition. There's something happening. Yeah. Why would they just change it from UFO to UAP, and now it's UAP? Why don't they want to say in UFO? Well, I think it's because, it's just my guess, the whole world got pretty conditioned in the last 50 years on what UFO meant, what a UFO is. Aliens, UFOs, right? Extraterrestrials. It's a UFO. I saw a UFO. Hey, there's a video of a UFO. No one ever said UAP.
That's true.
And so now there's no more UFO. It's UAP. And no one questioned, like, why are you calling it that? All of a sudden, that's what it's called? A UAP?
Well, you're questioning it and I'm questioning it. So we're questioning these things, and that's what you should do. Just ask questions.
Question. Like, think for yourself. Exactly. Dude, I'm going to buy some of your artwork. We're buddies now. You're going to be a regular guest back. Every time you come to Vegas, swing through and we'll chop it up and talk about stories. You did illustrations for New York Times, Rolling Stones. You've been doing this a long time. I didn't do your career any justice because I was too interested in, details. But you got a long, illustrious career. Yeah. You've made a big impact already. Some good, some not so good. Damn, your buddy. Like, let's start making some free CJ shirts.
Yeah.
Again,
it put him through hell, man.
That's Germany, bro. We can't do nothing there.
Well, his point is, if we're not careful, it's going to come here. They talked about it before the election. They said they need to control free speech more.
We're not careful, that could come here. And dude, that is not okay what they're doing.
No.
I understand that's a evil symbol, and
it's okay. It's selective enforcement, and that's the problem I have with it. If you on the cover of Stern magazine, which is a big magazine in Germany, they have all the time though a picture of Trump in a Nazi uniform. Nobody gets indicted for that.
It's parody.
It's protected speech.
You're saying that they'd let that happen there.
Oh yeah,
but not that book cover.
I can show you all these. I'll bring the.
And there's nothing more to the story. He didn't do some other things.
Nothing.
The book covers. All he did is posted a cover of his book, and he's in prison for it.
That's why he was found innocent in the first trial. But in Germany, they could keep trying you over and over.
Well, then Yeezy would be screwed. Kanye West right now, he would be big time in trouble, because like I heard he ran a Super Bowl commercial, flooded his Yeezy.com. And the only thing that he left up was a swastika t-shirt.
Mm. Yeah, he wouldn't do well in Germany.
No, he'd be in prison.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Dude, can't wait till the next one. Folks, as always, keep questioning, keep researching. Answers will come.
Amen.
Thanks, Nancy. And as always, until next time, keep it real. Hey, and go follow this dude at Anthony Freda Art on Instagram. Trust me, you'll like his art. If you do, go to anthonyfreda.com and get some. If you're not rich, get some prints, because to me, if you're down with what he's saying in this art, then share it, post it, use it, get him more fame, so more people share it and can identify and share it, because to me, that's how they support you. That's what the Bomb Squad can do. You can go buy prints if you don't have a bunch of money. Go buy the print of all these badasses, but at least go look at it, give them a follow, share this out, and as always, until next time, keep it real.